The dashboard clock blinked 2:17 a.m. as I turned onto Maple Street, my hands still trembling from the adrenaline of my last emergency room case. Another Christmas Eve shift at Memorial Hospital in Denver, another night of holding other people's lives together while mine quietly fell apart. I'd been awake for 19 hours straight. My scrubs still smelled like antiseptic and fear, and all I wanted was to collapse into bed and forget that Christmas existed at all. But when my headlights swept across our driveway, I saw something that made my heart stop cold. Emma's car was parked at an odd angle in front of the garage, like she'd just abandoned it there in a hurry. The garage door was half open, and through the gap, I could see a figure curled up on the concrete floor. I slammed my car into park and ran. My 17-year-old daughter was sleeping on the cold garage floor, still wearing that beautiful emerald green party dress she'd spent 3 weeks picking out. The dress that had cost me $200 at Nordstrom because she wanted to look perfect for her grandparents' 40th anniversary party. The dress that was now wrinkled and stained with what looked like tears. Her car was packed with wrapped presents, still sitting in neat rows on the back seat. On the passenger seat sat the most heartbreaking thing I'd ever seen. A gingerbread house that she'd spent 3 entire days constructing. 3 days of careful icing work, candy decorations arranged with the precision of an artist, all sitting there untouched and unwanted. "Emma," I whispered, kneeling beside her on the concrete. "Baby, what are you doing out here?" She opened her eyes slowly, and I watched her try to hide the pain before speaking. That's what killed me the most. Even in this moment, she was trying to protect me from the truth. "Hey, Mom," she said, her voice rough from crying. "You're home early." "Early? It's after 2 in the morning. What happened? Why aren't you at Grandma and Grandpa's party?" She sat up slowly, and I could see the mascara tracks down her cheeks, the way her hands were still shaking. "Oh, that." She tried to laugh, but it came out broken. "They said the party was family only. Apparently I don't count." The words hit me like a physical blow. I felt something crack inside my chest, something that had been holding together my carefully constructed world of family obligation and forced harmony. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I could only stare at my daughter and feel rage building in my blood like poison. "What do you mean, family only?" I managed to say. "You are family. You're their granddaughter." Emma pulled her knees up to her chest, making herself small on that cold garage floor. "I know, Mom. But apparently, that wasn't enough tonight." I sat down beside her, not caring that the concrete was freezing through my scrubs. "Tell me everything. Tell me exactly what happened." And so she did. And with every word, I felt my world shifting, tilting, revealing the ugly truth that I'd been ignoring for far too long. Emma had left our house at 7:30, just like we'd planned. She'd been so excited, texting me updates while I was at work. "Leaving now. Can't wait to see everyone." She'd driven herself in the car she'd only had for 4 months, carefully navigating the snowy roads to my parents' house in Cherry Hills Village, the expensive neighborhood I'd been helping them afford for the past 6 years. She arrived at 8 o'clock, exactly when my mother Patricia had told her to come. She parked on the street because the driveway was full of cars, so many cars that she had to walk 2 blocks in her heels through the snow. She'd practiced her walk in those heels for a week, wanting to look grown up and elegant for this special occasion. Through the huge bay windows of my parents' house, she could see the party in full swing. 31 people. She counted them. She counted every single person who was inside while she stood outside in the cold. There was Aunt Rebecca and Uncle Tom, their 3 teenagers, my cousins and their families, neighbors from down the street, my father's golf buddies, my mother's book club friends, everyone laughing, drinking champagne, dancing to big band music. Emma had walked up to the front door carrying her stack of presents and her gingerbread house, her heart pounding with excitement. She'd rung the doorbell, probably expecting my mother to throw open the door with that big fake smile she reserved for public moments. But that's not what happened. My mother opened the door just wide enough to slip through, then closed it behind her so Emma couldn't see inside. The cold must have hit Patricia immediately in her cocktail dress, but she didn't invite Emma in. She didn't even pretend to be welcoming. "Oh, sweetie," Emma told me my mother said, putting on that sugary voice she used when she was about to say something cruel. "This is an adult evening." "Didn't your mother tell you?" Emma had stood there in shock, her arms full of gifts, watching her grandmother shiver in the doorway of her own house, rather than let her granddaughter inside. "But," Emma had stammered, "you texted me this morning. You said you couldn't wait to see me tonight." My mother had actually laughed. "Oh, honey, I meant tomorrow. Christmas Day. This party is really more of a sophisticated affair. You understand?" Emma told me she'd looked past my mother's shoulder and seen her cousins inside. Melissa, who's 16. Jake, who's 15. Sarah, who just turned 14. All of them dressed up, all of them laughing and having the time of their lives at this supposedly adult party. "But I'm 17, Emma had said. "I'm older than all of them." And that's when my mother said the words that would change everything. The words that would finally make me see what I'd been refusing to see for years. "This party is for people who matter to us, sweetie. You understand?" Then she'd taken the presents from Emma's arms, thanked her for the gingerbread house, and closed the door in her face. My daughter had stood there on that porch for a full minute, she told me, unable to process what had just happened. She could hear the music and laughter from inside. She could see her cousins dancing through the window. She watched as my mother handed the presents to my father, watched as they both laughed about something, watched as the party continued without her, like she'd never existed at all. Emma had walked back to her car, her face burning with humiliation. She'd sat in the driver's seat for 20 minutes, crying so hard she couldn't see to drive. Then she'd come home, parked in our driveway, and couldn't bring herself to come inside the house. Couldn't bring herself to face the emptiness of our home on Christmas Eve. Couldn't bring herself to admit what had happened. So she'd curled up on the garage floor and cried herself to sleep, still wearing that beautiful green dress that no one had seen, still holding on to those presents that no one had wanted to receive from her hands. As Emma told me this story, as I watched the pain in her eyes and heard the tremor in her voice, I felt something inside me die. The part of me that had spent decades making excuses for my parents, smoothing over their cruelty, pretending that their conditional love was better than no love at all, that part of me just stopped breathing. I pulled Emma into my arms right there on that cold garage floor, and I made her a promise that I intended to keep no matter what it cost me. "Never again," I whispered into her hair. "Never again will anyone make you feel like you don't matter. Never again will I let them hurt you. I swear it, Emma. This ends tonight." I helped my daughter into the house, ran her a hot bath, made her tea, tucked her into bed like she was 5 years old again. And then I went downstairs, and I started planning, because my mother had made a fatal mistake tonight. She'd hurt my child, and that was the one unforgivable sin. Christmas morning came too early and too bright. I'd barely slept, my mind racing with rage and realization. At 6 a.m., while Emma was still sleeping, I opened my laptop at the kitchen table and started digging, because something didn't add up about last night. My mother had told Emma it was an adults-only party, but there were teenagers there. My mother had said she'd meant tomorrow when she said she couldn't wait to see Emma, but I'd seen the text messages. Something was wrong, and I needed to know what. I started with Facebook. My mother loved Facebook, loved posting every moment of her carefully curated perfect life for everyone to see. And sure enough, there were the photos from last night. Dozens of them. My mother in her designer dress that I'd bought her. My father with his golf buddies, drinks in hand. My sister Rebecca posing with her kids. And in the corner of one photo, I could see it. The dining room table, set for 32 people. 32 place settings, 32 chairs, 32 name cards. But Emma's name wasn't on any of them. I scrolled through more photos, my heart pounding. Then I noticed something in the background of one picture. My mother's iPad, sitting on the kitchen counter, its screen visible. And on that screen was a group chat. I zoomed in, my hands shaking. The resolution wasn't perfect, but I could read enough. A family group chat that I wasn't part of. A conversation about tonight's party. About the guest list. About who should and shouldn't be invited. That's when I remembered something. 2 years ago, my mother had asked me to help her set up her iPad backup to the family iCloud account. The account that I paid for. The account that I had access to. It took me 15 minutes to log in and find the chat history. And what I found there made me want to vomit. The conversation had started 3 weeks ago. My sister Rebecca had written, "Mom, are we really inviting Emma to the anniversary party? She's going to bring some weird homemade thing and embarrass us in front of your friends." My mother's response, "I was thinking we could tell her it's adults only. She's so dramatic. She'll probably make a scene if we tell her the truth." Rebecca again, "What about your other grandkids? They're younger than Emma." My mother, "Yes, but they know how to behave properly. Emma always has to be different. Remember last year when she wore those ratty jeans to Easter dinner? In front of the Hendersons?" I remembered those jeans. Emma had worn them because I'd been working a double shift and couldn't take her shopping for a new outfit. They were clean, pressed, perfectly appropriate, but they weren't designer. They weren't expensive enough for my mother's standards. The conversation continued, my father chiming in, "Let's just tell Stephanie that Emma wasn't feeling well. She'll never know." Rebecca, "Don't tell Stephanie about the age limit. She'll make a scene and ruin the whole party." My mother, "Emma will understand. She's always so mature about these things." Mature about these things. Like my daughter's maturity was a character flaw. Like her willingness to accept whatever scraps of affection they threw her way was something to exploit rather than cherish. I kept reading, my rage building with every message. And then I found the planning for tonight. The detailed timeline. My mother had texted Emma that morning, "Can't wait to see you tonight," knowing full well that she was going to turn her away at the door. It was planned. All of it. The cruelty wasn't accidental. It was calculated. But I wasn't done digging, because now I was remembering other things. Other times Emma had been excluded. Other moments I'd written off as miscommunication or unfortunate scheduling conflicts. I opened my financial records, something I should have done years ago. 6 years ago, when my father lost his job, my parents had come to me desperate. They were going to lose their house, they said. They needed help. They needed money. And like a fool, I'd given it to them. Except they didn't lose their house. I'd paid off their mortgage entirely. $350,000 from my savings, gone in one transaction. And then, I'd started paying their other bills. Their country club membership, $2,400 a month. Their car payments, $800 a month for 2 luxury vehicles. Their health insurance, $1,200 a month. Property taxes, utilities, maintenance. I added it up, my stomach churning. In 6 years, I'd given them over $180,000. $180,000, and they couldn't even let my daughter sit at their table. But it got worse. As I dug through the financial records, I found more. The family ski trip last March, the one Emma wasn't invited to because there wasn't enough room in the cabin. I'd paid for that cabin. 4 bedrooms, sleeps 12. Emma wasn't invited because there wasn't room, but somehow my sister's friend's 2 kids came along. The beach house rental last summer. Emma was told she could come for one day, just one day, because the house was fully booked. I'd paid for that rental too. 5 bedrooms. Emma got a day pass while my cousin's families stayed for a week, even Thanksgiving dinner last year. Emma was told to come at 8 p.m. for dessert because the main dinner was full. I'd paid for the catering for that dinner. 25 people, including my mother's book club friends. But no room for Emma at the actual meal. And tonight's party. The 40th anniversary celebration. The catering, the decorations, the champagne, the musician, all of it charged to my credit card. I'd paid for every bit of the party that my daughter wasn't allowed to attend. They'd been using my money to exclude my child. I sat at that kitchen table as the sun came up on Christmas morning, surrounded by printed financial records and screenshots of cruel text messages, and I made a decision. Not a rash decision, not an emotional decision. A clear, calculated, final decision. I picked up my phone and called Marcus Johnson, my best friend since law school, now one of the top estate attorneys in Colorado. I knew he'd be awake. Marcus always woke up early to go running, even on Christmas. "Marcus," I said when he answered, "I need your help." An hour later, Marcus was sitting at my kitchen table, reading through everything I'd found. His expression grew darker with every page. "Stephanie," he said finally, looking up at me, "you don't owe these people anything. You know that, right? Legally, morally, ethically, you owe them nothing." I nodded. That's what I thought. But I needed to hear it from someone else. "You can stop all payments immediately." Marcus tapped the financial records. "These aren't loans. These are gifts. You have no obligation to continue them. And this?" He held up the screenshots of the group chat. "This is evidence of intentional emotional abuse of a minor. If they try to fight you on the money, this is your defense." "What about Emma?" I asked. "Is there anything they can do to her? Try to claim grandparents' rights or something?" Marcus shook his head. "Colorado doesn't grant grandparent visitation rights unless it's in the child's best interest. With this evidence, no judge would rule in their favor. Emma's almost 18 anyway. In 6 months, she's a legal adult, and they have no claim at all." "Then it's done," I said. "I want to cut them off completely. Today. Right now." Marcus pulled out his laptop. "Let's do it." We started with the country club. I called the membership office and requested to speak with the manager. It took 20 minutes of hold music, but eventually I got through. "This is Stephanie Morrison," I said. "I'm calling about the account for Patricia and Robert Morrison." "Ah, yes," the manager said. "Mrs. Morrison. Your parents have been members for 6 wonderful years. I need to cancel the membership immediately," I said, "effective today. And I need to remove my credit card from the account." There was a long pause. "I see. May I ask why?" "That's personal," I said. "How much notice is required?" "None for cancellation," the manager said, typing in the background. "But there is a resignation fee." "How much?" $5,000. "Fine," I said. "Charge my card for the fee, then remove my card from the account permanently. Send the final bill to Patricia and Robert Morrison at their home address." After I hung up, Marcus was grinning. That was ice cold. "I like it. I'm just getting started," I told him. Next was the car insurance. 2 luxury vehicles, both insured under my policy to get the multi-car discount. I called the insurance company and had both cars removed from my policy immediately. They'd have 24 hours of coverage remaining, then they'd be on their own. Then the health insurance. My parents were on my employer's health plan as dependents. I called HR, explained that I needed to remove dependents during a qualifying life event, cited estrangement, and had them removed effective January 1st. They'd have 1 week of coverage remaining. The credit cards they had under my account. Canceled. The utilities I paid for their house. Service transferred to their names, with the first bill due in 30 days. The automatic payments I'd set up for their property taxes, their HOA fees, their lawn service, their housekeeping. All canceled. By noon on Christmas Day, I'd severed every financial connection to my parents, every single one. And then I did something else. Something Marcus suggested. I wrote a letter. A formal legal letter documenting everything. The financial support I'd provided over 6 years. The total amount, $183,412.68. The evidence of Emma's systematic exclusion from family events. The screenshots from the group chat. The pattern of emotional abuse. The letter ended with a simple statement. Effective immediately. All financial support ends. You have 90 days to refinance any remaining debts in your own names. Any further contact should be directed through my attorney, Marcus Johnson. Marcus printed the letter on his firm's letterhead, had me sign it, then prepared it for certified delivery. It would arrive at my parents' house on December 27th. They'd have to sign for it. They'd have to acknowledge receipt. But I wasn't done. Because I needed one more thing. I needed to protect Emma from whatever retaliation was coming. I needed to make sure that when my parents came after us, and they would come after us, I had every weapon at my disposal. I emailed Emma's school counselor, Mrs. Patricia Reynolds. I explained what had happened, attached the screenshots, and asked her to document Emma's emotional state. She responded within 2 hours, even though it was Christmas Day. I've noticed Emma's withdrawal this semester. She's been quieter, less engaged. This explains everything. I'll document this in her file, and I'm recommending therapy. Please let me know how I can support you both. Then I called Emma's father, my ex-husband Daniel. We'd been divorced for 8 years, but we'd managed to maintain a civil relationship for Emma's sake. When I told him what happened, I could hear the rage in his voice even over the phone. I want to kill them, he said flatly. I want to drive over there right now and— Don't, I interrupted. That's not going to help Emma. But there is something you can do. I need you to support my decision to cut off my parents completely. If they try to use you to get to Emma, I need you to shut them down. Consider it done, Daniel said. And Stephanie? I'm getting our daughter a therapist. A good one. And you need to stop funding their lifestyle. You should have done it years ago. I know, I whispered. I know. That evening, Emma came downstairs. She'd slept most of the day, her body shutting down from the emotional trauma. She found me in the living room, surrounded by papers and empty coffee cups. Mom, she said quietly, what are you doing? I looked up at my daughter, this beautiful, kind, creative person who deserved so much better than what my family had given her. I'm fixing things, I said. Sit down. I need to tell you what's going to happen. I explained everything. The financial support ending, the letter being sent, the counselor's involvement, the therapy we were going to get her. And then I told her the most important thing. Emma, I said, taking her hands in mine, you will never be treated as optional again. Not by them, not by anyone. I'm done making excuses for people who hurt you. I'm done prioritizing their feelings over your safety. From now on, you come first. Always. Emma started crying, but this time they were different tears. These weren't tears of humiliation or pain. These were tears of relief. I thought I was the problem, she whispered. I thought there was something wrong with me. Something that made me not good enough for them. No, I said fiercely. No. There's nothing wrong with you. There's something wrong with them. They're broken, Emma. They're cruel. And you deserve better. We spent Christmas evening watching movies and eating Chinese takeout. Just the two of us. It wasn't the Christmas I'd planned. It wasn't traditional or festive. But it was honest. It was real. And for the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. The letter was delivered on December 27th at 10:14 a.m. I know because the tracking showed when my mother signed for it. And exactly 47 minutes later, my phone started ringing. I'd changed my number, given the new one only to people I trusted. But I'd kept the old phone active just to see what would happen. I let it ring, watching the screen light up over and over. Patricia Morrison. Declined. Patricia Morrison. Declined. Robert Morrison. Declined. Then the voicemails started coming in. I listened to them on speaker so Marcus could hear, his legal pad ready to document everything. The first one was my mother, her voice shaking with what I'm sure she thought sounded like devastation, but came across as pure rage. Stephanie Marie Morrison, how dare you? How dare you send us this horrible letter on the day after Christmas? Your father is beside himself. Do you have any idea what you've done? The country club called. They said our membership is canceled. Our car insurance is canceled. How are we supposed to drive anywhere? How are we supposed to show our faces at the club? You're destroying your father's reputation, all because of a simple misunderstanding with Emma. She's being dramatic, and you're feeding into it. Call me back immediately. I deleted it. Next message. This one was my father, and he sounded tired, defeated, like he'd already accepted what was coming. Stephanie, please. Your mother is beside herself. Can't we talk about this like adults? I know Emma felt left out, but that wasn't our intention. These things happen in families. Surely you're not serious about cutting us off completely? Think about what you're doing. Think about the family. We've always been there for you. Don't throw that away over nothing. Over nothing. Emma's humiliation was nothing. Her pain was nothing. I deleted the message. The next 5 messages were all from my mother, each one escalating in anger and desperation. The last one made my blood run cold. Fine, her voice hissed through the speaker. You want to play hardball? Let's play. I've already talked to a lawyer. You can't just abandon your elderly parents. We'll sue you for elder abuse. We'll tell everyone what kind of daughter you really are. We'll make sure everyone knows that you turned your back on us, that you poisoned Emma against us. You think you can just walk away? You think there won't be consequences? You have no idea what you've started. Marcus looked up from his notes. She just threatened legal action. That's good for us. How is that good? I asked. Because it means she's scared, Marcus said. And scared people make mistakes. The phone calls continued throughout the day. My mother called 37 times. My father called 12 times. Then my sister Rebecca started calling. Then extended family members I hadn't heard from in years. My Uncle Tom left a message. Stephanie, what's going on? Your mother called me crying. She said you've abandoned them. She said there was some kind of misunderstanding about a party. Can't you work this out? I called Tom back. He was one of the few family members I actually respected. Uncle Tom, I said when he answered, I need to send you something. Can you check your email? I sent him the screenshots from the group chat. The messages about Emma. The planning. The cruelty. Then I sent him the financial records showing exactly how much I'd paid for their lifestyle over the past 6 years. Tom was quiet for a long time after I heard him reading. Then, Jesus Christ, I had no idea. Patricia told everyone you were just helping out with a few bills here and there. She made it sound like they were barely getting by and you were being generous. She never mentioned, oh my God, Stephanie, $180,000? Plus the mortgage payoff, I added. $350,000 total. And in return, they couldn't even let Emma sit at their table. I'm so sorry, Tom said. I didn't know. None of us knew. We all thought, hell, I don't know what we thought. That you had some kind of arrangement? That they were helping you somehow? Patricia always made it sound like they were doing you a favor by letting you support them. That's the thing about my mother, I said. She's really good at making herself the victim. What can I do? Tom asked. Just believe me, I said. When the rest of the family calls you, when they try to make me the villain in this story, just remember what you saw in those messages. Remember that they planned to hurt my daughter. I will, Tom promised. I swear. New Year's Eve came and went. Emma and I spent it quietly, just the two of us again. We watched the ball drop in Times Square, toasted with sparkling cider, and made resolutions. Emma's resolution was to stop trying to earn love from people who didn't value her. My resolution was to never let guilt override my judgment again. January brought a new wave of chaos. The country club expelled my parents for non-payment of their resignation fee. Apparently, they'd refused to pay the $5,000, thinking the club would just let it slide. Instead, the club banned them from the premises and sent a demand letter. My mother showed up at my workplace, Memorial Hospital, on January 3rd. I was just finishing a night shift, exhausted and running on 3 hours of sleep in the past 48 hours. I walked out through the ER entrance, and there she was, standing by my car in the parking garage. "Stephanie," she called out, "we need to talk." "No, we don't," I said, walking past her to unlock my car. She grabbed my arm. I said, "We need to talk. You can't just ignore me." I pulled my arm away. "Don't touch me. If you have something to say it through my attorney." "Your attorney?" My mother's voice rose to a shriek. "I'm your mother. You don't need an attorney to talk to your mother." A security guard started walking toward us, alerted by her raised voice. "Ma'am," the guard said. "Is there a problem?" My mother turned on him. "This is a private conversation. This is between me and my daughter." I looked at the security guard, a young man named Derek, who I'd chatted with dozens of times during my shifts. "Derek, this woman is harassing me. I'd like her removed from the premises." My mother's face went white. "Harassing you? You ungrateful little—" Derek stepped between us. "Ma'am, I need you to leave. Now? Do you know who I am?" My mother drew herself up. "I'm Patricia Morrison. My husband plays golf with the hospital board chairman." "I don't care if your husband plays golf with God himself," Derek said calmly. "You're making a scene in front of patients. Leave now or I'll call the police." I watched as my mother was escorted out of the parking garage, still shouting about ungrateful daughters and misunderstandings. Several of my colleagues had come outside, drawn by the commotion. Jennifer, a nurse I'd worked with for 3 years, put her hand on my shoulder. "You okay?" she asked. "I will be," I said. That night, I filed a no-contact order. Marcus helped me draft it, citing harassment and emotional distress. It wasn't a restraining order, not yet, but it was a warning. Stay away from me, from Emma, from my workplace, or face legal consequences. The next attack came from an unexpected angle. On January 7th, my sister Rebecca created a Facebook post that went viral in our extended family and social circle. "Please keep my parents in your prayers during this difficult time. They are facing financial hardship and potential homelessness due to circumstances beyond their control. Sometimes the people you sacrifice everything for are the ones who abandon you when you need them most. My mother is devastated that her own daughter has turned her back on the family over a small misunderstanding. Please pray for healing and reconciliation." Within hours, 43 family members had shared it. The comments were brutal. "I can't believe Stephanie would do this to her own parents. After everything they did for her? This is what happens when children forget honor thy father and mother. Patricia and Robert are such wonderful people. They don't deserve this." I sat on my couch reading the comments, feeling that old familiar guilt trying to creep back in. That voice in my head that said, maybe I was overreacting. Maybe I was being too harsh. Maybe I should just forgive and forget and go back to the way things were. Then Emma came downstairs and saw what I was reading. She sat beside me and took the phone from my hands. "Mom, she said quietly. Do you remember what you promised me on Christmas? That I'd never be treated as optional again? I nodded. That promise extends to you too, Emma said. You don't get to be treated as optional either. You don't get to be the family ATM anymore. And you don't get to let them guilt you into going back. When did you get so wise? I asked. I learned from the best, she said, hugging me. That night, I did something I'd never done before. I responded publicly. I didn't air all the dirty laundry, didn't post the screenshots or the financial records. I just wrote a simple statement on my own Facebook page. I will not be commenting on family matters publicly. What I will say is this: boundaries are not abandonment. Stopping financial support after 6 years is not cruelty, and protecting my child from emotional harm is not optional. That's all I have to say on the matter. The response was immediate and divided. Some people messaged me privately with support. Others left angry comments. But the one that mattered most came from my cousin Jessica, Rebecca's younger sister. I'm so sorry. I had no idea what was really happening. Can we talk? Jessica and I met for coffee the next day. She brought printouts of the family group chat, the one I'd seen screenshots of but never had full access to. She'd been added to it a year ago. I didn't realize what I was seeing at the time, Jessica said, sliding the papers across the table. But looking back now, after what you wrote, God, Stephanie, they were so cruel to Emma, and you were paying for all of it. She walked me through message after message. Plans to exclude Emma from family events. Jokes about Emma's artwork being childish. Complaints about Emma being difficult or weird or too sensitive. And through it all, my mother and sister reinforcing each other's cruelty. There was one exchange that made me physically ill. It was from last July, about the family beach trip. Rebecca: Emma wants to come to the beach house for the full week. What should I tell her? My mother: tell her we're fully booked, but she can come for a day visit. We don't need her moping around for a whole week. Rebecca: but there's plenty of room. We have 5 bedrooms. My mother: I know, but I don't want her there. She'll just be awkward and ruin everyone's mood. One day is plenty. Jessica was crying as I read it. I watched them plan this, she said. I watched them decide to hurt your daughter, and I didn't say anything. I'm so sorry, Stephanie. I should have told you. You're telling me now, I said. That's what matters. Jessica wasn't the only one who came forward. Over the next few weeks, more family members reached out. People who'd heard one version of events from my mother, but were starting to see the cracks in her story. People who'd been told I was being dramatic, but were now wondering if there was more to it. My Aunt Linda called with a bombshell. She'd given my mother $500 last October, supposedly to help with my medical bills. I was having surgery, Linda said. Your mother told me you couldn't afford it, that you needed help. I wanted to give the money directly to you, but she said you were too proud to accept it. I never had surgery, I told her. I've never asked my mother for money. Linda was quiet for a long time. She lied to me. She took my money and lied. Yes, I said simply. That's what she does. But February brought the biggest revelation yet. Rebecca's husband, Mark, reached out to me through Marcus's office. He didn't want Rebecca to know he was talking to me, but he had information he thought I should have. We met in Marcus's conference room, Mark looking nervous and guilty. I should have said something before, Mark started. But Rebecca kept saying it wasn't my place, that it was family business. But after what happened at Christmas, I can't keep quiet anymore. He pulled out his phone and showed me a video. It was from Christmas Eve, from the party. Someone had been doing a video walkthrough of the house, showing off the decorations and the guests. And there, clear as day, was the moment Emma rang the doorbell. The video captured everything. My mother going to the door. Emma standing there in her green dress, arms full of gifts. My mother stepping outside and closing the door behind her. And then, because the person filming had moved closer to a window, you could hear their conversation. "This is an adult evening. Didn't your mother tell you? But you texted me this morning. You said you couldn't wait to see me." "Oh, honey, I meant tomorrow. This party is really more of a sophisticated affair." And then, clear as a bell, my mother's next words: "This party is for people who matter to us, sweetie. You understand." The video caught Emma's face as those words landed. The confusion, the hurt, the humiliation. It caught her standing there for a moment, frozen, and it caught my mother taking the presents, smiling like she'd done nothing wrong, and closing the door. I watched it 3 times, tears streaming down my face. Marcus had to take the phone from me because my hands were shaking so hard. "I have something else," Mark said quietly. Rebecca knew about the party exclusion. She helped plan it. She told me it was to teach Emma a lesson about family hierarchy, whatever that means. I told her it was wrong. I told her multiple times. She said you'd never find out, that Emma wouldn't tell you because she was too embarrassed. I stared at Mark across the conference table, trying to process what he'd just said. Family hierarchy? "Rebecca has this idea," Mark continued, looking uncomfortable. "She thinks Emma is too entitled, that you spoil her, that she needs to learn her place in the family. She's been saying it for years. I always thought it was just talk, jealous sister stuff. But then this Christmas happened, and I realized she was serious." "What does that even mean?" I asked. "Learn her place?" Mark rubbed his face tiredly. "Rebecca thinks you get too much attention from your parents because you're successful. She thinks Emma gets praised too much for her art and her grades. She wanted to, I don't know, knock her down a peg, show her that she's not as special as she thinks she is." "Emma is 17 years old," I said, my voice deadly quiet. "She's a child. What kind of person tries to hurt a child to make a point?" "I'm sorry," Mark said. "I should have told you sooner. I should have stood up to Rebecca, but I didn't want to cause problems in my marriage." Marcus leaned forward. "Mark, can we have a copy of that video?" "Yes," Mark said immediately. "That's why I brought it. I want you to have it. If Patricia and Rebecca try to deny what happened, you'll have proof." After Mark left, Marcus and I sat in silence for a long moment. "This changes everything," Marcus said finally. "If they try to sue you, if they try to claim you're being unreasonable, we have video evidence of the inciting incident. We have Patricia, in her own words, telling Emma she doesn't matter." "Good," I said. "Let them try." But they didn't sue. Because on February 14th, my mother tried a different tactic. Emma had a school concert that night, her first as principal cellist in the orchestra. She'd worked for 2 years to earn that chair, practicing hours every day. Daniel and I were both there, sitting together in the audience. Emma had specifically asked us to sit together, to show a united front, to be the family she deserved. The concert was beautiful. Emma played a solo that brought tears to my eyes. When it was over, we stood to applaud, and that's when I saw her. My mother, standing in the back of the auditorium, holding flowers. I felt my whole body tense. Daniel saw her too, put his hand on my arm. "Want me to handle this?" "No," I said. "Stay here. I'll deal with it." I walked up the aisle as families filed out. My mother saw me coming and plastered on her public smile, the one she used when she wanted witnesses to her supposed kindness. "Stephanie," she called out, loud enough for people around us to hear. "I'm so glad I caught you. Emma was wonderful." "What are you doing here?" I asked quietly. "I came to see my granddaughter perform, of course." My mother held out the flowers. "I brought these for her. I thought we could all go to dinner afterward, celebrate together." She said it like nothing had happened, like Christmas Eve was a distant memory. Like the past 6 weeks of no contact orders and attorney letters had never occurred. "You need to leave," I said. Emma appeared beside me, still carrying her cello case. Her face went pale when she saw my mother. "Darling." My mother moved toward her. "You were magnificent. I'm so proud of you." Emma stepped back closer to me. "Grandma, you need to go. But I brought you flowers." My mother's voice rose slightly, and I could see people starting to stare. "I miss you so much, sweetheart." "When can we fix this?" Emma's voice was steady, stronger than I'd expected. "You can start by apologizing for Christmas." "Apologizing?" My mother laughed, a brittle sound. "I think there's been a misunderstanding about what happened that night, honey. I never meant to hurt your feelings. Sometimes things just get miscommunicated in families." "You told me I didn't matter to you," Emma said, and several people nearby stopped to listen. "You said the party was for people who matter. That's not miscommunication. That's just mean." My mother's smile faltered. "Sweetheart, I would never— You must have misheard me. I love you so much." "Then why didn't you let me in?" Emma asked. "Why were there 31 people at that party, including cousins younger than me, but no room for me?" A woman I recognized as Emma's music teacher was standing nearby, openly watching now. My mother saw her too, realized she was losing control of the narrative. "We'll talk about this later," my mother said, thrusting the flowers at Emma. "As a family, without all these people listening." Emma didn't take the flowers. "I don't want to talk to you. Not later, not ever. Not until you admit what you did and actually apologize for it." My mother's face flushed red. "You're being ridiculous. Dramatic. Just like your mother." "This conversation is over," I said, taking Emma's hand. "You need to leave. Now, or I'll have school security escort you out." "Fine," my mother snapped, dropping the flowers on the floor. "But this isn't over, Stephanie. You can't keep her from me forever." "Watch me," I said. We walked away, leaving my mother standing there with her dropped flowers and her shattered public image. Emma was shaking, but she was also smiling. "I did it," she whispered. "I actually stood up to her." "You did," I said, squeezing her hand. "I'm so proud of you." That night, Rebecca sent me a text. The first direct communication I'd had from her in weeks. "Just let Emma come to Sophie's Sweet 16. Mom will be on her best behavior. We can start over." I checked my calendar. Sophie's party was in 3 weeks. Then I checked my credit card statements and found something interesting. The party venue, a mansion rental in Boulder, was being charged to my card. An auto pay I'd set up 2 years ago for family reunions and never canceled. The rental was $12,000 for the weekend. I called the rental company. "I need to cancel a reservation," I said. The manager checked the booking. "That's a pretty big party." "There's a cancellation fee of 50%. "That's fine," I said. "Cancel it and refund the 50% to my card." "But ma'am, the party is in 3 weeks. They've already sent invitations." "Not my problem," I said. "Cancel it." I took a screenshot of the cancellation confirmation and sent it to Rebecca with a simple message. "No." Her response came within minutes, a string of angry texts. "You're punishing Sophie for something she didn't do. This is her special day. How can you be so cruel?" I replied once. "I paid for the venue. I decide what it's used for, and it won't be used to pretend that everything is fine when it's not." Rebecca called me, screaming. I could hear Sophie crying in the background. "You just ruined my daughter's birthday," Rebecca yelled. "You're a monster, a vindictive, petty monster." "You excluded my daughter from a party I paid for," I said calmly. "Consider this reciprocity." "Sophie didn't exclude Emma," Rebecca's voice cracked. "Sophie wanted Emma there." "Then maybe you should have thought about that before you helped plan Emma's humiliation," I said. "Mark told me everything, Rebecca. I know you knew about the Christmas party. I know you helped plan it. I know you told him I'd never find out. Silence on the other end of the line. I have video, I continued, of the whole thing. Mom telling Emma she doesn't matter. Emma's face when she heard those words. All of it. So before you call me a monster, take a long look in the mirror. I hung up. My hands were shaking, but not from fear or guilt, from righteous anger, from the satisfaction of finally standing up for my daughter the way I should have been doing all along. March 1st came with an unexpected invasion. I was working from home, reviewing patient charts at my dining room table, when I heard cars pulling up outside. Multiple cars. I looked out the window and saw them. My parents, my sister Rebecca, her husband Mark looking extremely uncomfortable, Uncle Tom, Aunt Carol, and several cousins I barely knew. 12 people in total. They were staging an intervention. I texted Marcus. They're here. All of them. His response was immediate. Recording app on. Document everything. I'm 10 minutes away. I turned on my phone's recording app, slipped it into my shirt pocket, and went to open the door. They filed in without being invited, spreading out across my living room like an occupying force. My father sat in my favorite chair. My mother positioned herself in the center of the couch. Everyone else arranged themselves around the room in a semicircle. It was theater. Carefully staged theater, designed to overwhelm me. Stephanie, my father began, his voice carrying that disappointed tone he'd perfected over the years. We need to talk about this situation. As a family. I stayed standing by the door. Say what you came to say. The country club has expelled us, he continued. I'm humiliated. 40 years of membership, gone. All because you won't accept your mother's apology. What apology? I asked. She hasn't apologized. She said Christmas was a misunderstanding. My mother dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. I'm sorry you feel hurt, darling. Is that what you want to hear? That's not an apology, I said. That's blaming me for my feelings. Aunt Carol leaned forward. Families forgive, Stephanie. That's what we do. You're holding on to anger, and it's destroying all of us. Emma appeared at the top of the stairs. I'd told her to stay in her room, but of course she came down. This concerned her too. I'm the one who was hurt, Emma said, her voice shaking but clear. Has anyone asked if I forgive them? The room went silent. 12 adults, and not one of them had an answer. Emma walked down the stairs, stood beside me. Grandma, do you remember what you said when I asked why I couldn't come inside on Christmas? My mother's face tightened. I don't recall exactly. Emma pulled out her phone. That's okay. I recorded it. You could have heard a pin drop. Emma played the audio. Crystal clear. My mother's voice. This party is for people who matter to us, sweetie. You understand. Then Emma stopped the audio and looked at my mother. Do you remember now? My mother's face went white. I wouldn't. But Emma wasn't done. She pulled up the video Mark had sent us, the one from the party. She played it on her phone, held it up so everyone could see. There was my mother, telling Emma to leave. There was Emma's face, crumbling with humiliation. There was the door closing. The room erupted. Patricia, what the hell? Uncle Tom stood up, his face red. You told me this was all a misunderstanding. You said Emma wasn't feeling well and couldn't come. My mother tried to speak, but Emma kept going. And this, Emma said, pulling up screenshots on her phone, is the family group chat where you and Aunt Rebecca planned the whole thing, where you said I was too dramatic, where you said I'd make a scene, where you decided, weeks in advance, that I wasn't worth having at your party. She handed her phone to Uncle Tom. He read through the messages, his expression growing darker with each screenshot. Rebecca, Tom said, looking at my sister. You were part of this? Rebecca's face flushed. It's not. She was being. We just thought. Emma stepped forward. What did you think? That I wouldn't find out? That I'd just accept being treated like I'm not part of this family? My father tried to salvage the situation. Emma, sweetie, sometimes adults make mistakes. We're sorry. Can't we move past this? Emma looked at him steadily. Grandpa, have you been reading the messages in that group chat? The one I wasn't included in? What messages? He asked, confused. Emma took her phone back from Uncle Tom, scrolled through, and started reading aloud. Emma's artwork is childish. Emma is too sensitive. Emma ruins family photos with her weird outfits. Emma needs to learn her place. She looked up. Those are from the past year. There are more from the past 2 years. Hundreds of messages, Grandpa. Hundreds of messages about how I don't fit in, how I'm too much, how I'm not enough. I didn't know about those, my father said weakly. That's because you don't pay attention, Emma said. None of you pay attention unless it serves you. Mom paid for your house. Did you know that? She paid $350,000 so you wouldn't lose it. Then she paid another $180,000 over 6 years for your lifestyle. And you couldn't even let me sit at your table. The number hung in the air. Several relatives gasped. Clearly, my mother's story about a little help with bills hadn't included actual figures. $500,000, Emma continued. And you treated both of us like we owed you something, like we were lucky to be allowed in your presence. Aunt Carol tried to interrupt. Emma, you don't understand adult relationships. I understand enough, Emma cut her off. I understand that Grandma took Aunt Linda's $500 by lying about Mom needing surgery. I understand that you all came to family events I paid for, in a house I paid for, and acted like I was the charity case. I understand that when I was excluded, none of you said anything. Not one of you stood up for me. Emma, Rebecca tried, her voice pleading now. But Emma turned to her. You told your husband I'd never find out. You said I needed to learn my place in the family. She looked around the room. What place is that exactly? The place where I'm good enough to fund your lifestyle but not good enough to sit at your table? I watched my daughter, this strong, articulate, powerful young woman, and felt pride surge through me. She was doing what I'd never been able to do. She was speaking truth without apology. My mother finally found her voice. You've turned my granddaughter against me, she said, pointing at me. You've poisoned her mind. No, I said quietly. You did that yourself. Every time you excluded her. Every time you made her feel less than. Every time you took my money and treated my daughter like she wasn't worth your time. You did this. I stood up. Everyone needs to leave. Now. This is my house, Dad tried. No, I corrected him. This is my house, that you're standing in, that I'm allowing you to stand in, and I'm done allowing it. Get out. Stephanie, Aunt Carol pleaded. We're family. Family doesn't do what you did to Emma, I said. Family doesn't systematically exclude a child. Family doesn't take $500,000 and then slam a door in someone's face. You're not my family. You're people I happen to be related to. And there's a difference. They filed out slowly, some angry, some stunned. My mother tried to grab my arm on her way out. You've turned her against me, she whispered viciously. You've destroyed this family. I hope you're happy. No, I said, pulling away. You destroyed this family when you told my daughter she didn't matter. I'm just done pretending it never happened. After they left, Emma collapsed on the couch. I sat beside her, pulled her into my arms. That was terrifying, she whispered. You were magnificent, I told her. You were strong and clear, and you told the truth. I'm so proud of you. Marcus arrived 15 minutes later. I played him the entire recording. He listened with a grin growing on his face. This is perfect, he said. If they try anything legal, this recording destroys their case. Emma confronting them with evidence, them having no defense. It's beautiful. 3 weeks later, a letter arrived from an attorney. Not Marcus, a different one. My parents had hired counsel. The letter was exactly what Marcus had predicted. They were demanding I reinstate financial support, or they would sue for elder financial abuse. They claimed I had created a state of dependency and then abandoned them, causing emotional and financial harm. Marcus read the letter and laughed. Actually laughed. They have no case, he said. You weren't their guardian. You weren't their court-appointed caretaker. You were an adult child who chose to help and then chose to stop. That's not illegal. That's not even immoral. He drafted a response that was masterful in its simplicity. It outlined every payment I'd made, totaling 5,000. It included the video of Christmas Eve. It included the screenshots from the group chat. It included Emma's school counselor's statement about the emotional harm caused by systematic exclusion. It included the recording from the intervention. And then it ended with a simple statement. If you proceed with legal action, all of this evidence will be entered into public record. We welcome the opportunity to present our case in court. They never sued. Their attorney called Marcus 2 days later and said his clients were withdrawing the threat. Rebecca sent one final text. You've destroyed this family. I hope you're happy. I replied, I'm not happy, but Emma is safe. That's all that matters. Then I blocked her. Through Uncle Tom, I heard updates. My parents moved to a small apartment in Aurora, a far cry from their Cherry Hills mansion. They sold both luxury cars, bought one used Honda. My father got a part-time job at a hardware store. My mother took a position as a receptionist at a dental office. They told people I'd abandoned them. Some people believed it. Others, like Tom and Linda and Jessica, knew the truth. The family split into factions. Those who believed my mother's victimhood story, and those who'd seen the evidence. I stopped caring which side people were on. It wasn't my job to manage their perceptions anymore. The months passed. Spring turned to summer. Emma started therapy with Dr. Chen, unpacking years of subtle emotional abuse. She learned that her worthiness wasn't determined by her grandparents' approval. She learned that people who love you don't make you earn your place at their table. By August, Emma was thriving. Her art portfolio was accepted to 3 different colleges. She'd made new friends, kids who valued her for who she was. She laughed more. She relaxed. The tension that had always lived in her shoulders slowly melted away. And then came September, Emma's 18th birthday, the legal threshold where she became an adult. Where even if my parents wanted to claim some kind of grandparent rights, they no longer could. We threw a party at our house. 50 people came. Emma's friends from school, her orchestra colleagues, Daniel and his new wife, Uncle Tom and his family, Aunt Linda and Cousin Jessica, my colleagues from the hospital, Marcus and his family. People who loved Emma for who she was, not for what she could do for them. No Patricia. No Robert. No Rebecca. Emma gave a speech when we cut the cake. She stood in our living room, surrounded by people who genuinely cared about her, and she thanked me. To my mom, she said, her voice strong and clear, who showed me that love means protection, not performance, who showed me that boundaries aren't walls, they're bridges to healthier relationships, who showed me that sometimes the family you choose is more real than the family you're born into. I cried. Daniel cried. Half the room cried. Later, as we were cleaning up, Uncle Tom pulled me aside. Patricia asks about Emma constantly, he said quietly. She's realized what she lost. She wants to apologize. I looked at him. A real apology? Or another non-apology, where she's sorry I feel hurt? Tom sighed. Honestly, I don't know. She talks about it, But she can't quite bring herself to admit she was wrong. She keeps saying she didn't mean it the way it sounded. Then she hasn't learned anything, I said. And we're not interested. What if she does? Tom asked. What if she actually, genuinely apologizes? Would you consider reconciliation? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Would I? Maybe, I said finally. If she apologized to Emma, if she took full responsibility, if she acknowledged the harm she caused, if she didn't make excuses or try to justify her behavior, if she committed to change, maybe then we could talk. But I'm not holding my breath. Tom nodded. Fair enough. The card appeared 2 weeks later, slipped under our door one morning. My mother's handwriting on the envelope, addressed to Emma. Inside was a simple message. I'm sorry. I was wrong. Please. Emma read it, standing in our kitchen with morning sunlight streaming through the windows. She read it 3 times, her face expressionless. What do you think? She asked me. I think that's up to you, I said. It's your hurt. It's your decision whether to forgive. Emma was quiet for a long moment. Then she carried the card to the trash can and dropped it in. Maybe someday, she said, but not today, and not until she can say more than 3 words, not until she can actually explain what she's sorry for, not until she proves she understands what she did. That's fair, I said. Emma came to hug me. Thank you, she whispered, for protecting me, even when it was hard, even when they made you feel guilty. Thank you for choosing me. I held my daughter in our kitchen, listening to the sound of morning birds outside our window, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Real, genuine peace. October rolled around, bringing college acceptance letters and scholarship offers. Emma chose a school in California, a prestigious art institute that offered her a full ride. She'd be leaving in less than a year, starting her own life, away from the toxicity that had defined her childhood. We sat on our porch one evening, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. Emma had her sketchbook, capturing the colors. I had my coffee, just enjoying the moment. Do you ever regret it? Emma asked suddenly. Cutting them off? Losing your family? I thought about it. Really thought about it. I lost people I was related to, I said finally. But I didn't lose family. Family are the people who show up for you, who value you, who don't make you earn your place at their table. By that definition, I have more family now than I ever did before. Emma smiled, kept sketching. I think so too. Do you regret it? I asked her. She paused, pencil hovering over paper. I regret that it had to happen. I regret that they're the kind of people who could hurt a kid. But no, I don't regret standing up to them. I don't regret you protecting me. For the first time in my life, I feel like I matter. Like my feelings are important. Like I don't have to shrink myself to make other people comfortable. You never had to do that, I said. You were always enough. I know that now, Emma said, because you showed me, by choosing me over them. We sat in comfortable silence as the sun dipped below the horizon. Inside the house, my phone buzzed with a text from Jennifer, inviting us to her daughter's birthday party. Marcus sent a funny meme. Daniel confirmed plans for Emma's graduation photos. My chosen family, checking in, being present, showing up. 6 months later, we stood in our driveway loading boxes into Emma's car. College move-in day had arrived. The car was packed with everything she'd need: bedding, clothes, art supplies, dreams. You ready? I asked her. So ready, Emma said, practically bouncing with excitement. Daniel arrived to caravan with us to California. His wife brought snacks for the road trip. Uncle Tom and Aunt Linda came by to say goodbye, bringing a care package of Emma's favorite foods. Marcus stopped by with a check for Emma, a graduation gift that made her cry. We took photos in front of the house. Emma and me, Emma and Daniel. Emma with her chosen family, the people who'd shown up for her consistently and genuinely. As we were about to leave, another car pulled up. A familiar car. My mother's old Honda. My mother stepped out, holding another envelope. She looked smaller somehow, older, worn down by consequences. "Emma," she called out, "please, I need to talk to you." Emma looked at me. I nodded. "Your choice." Emma walked over to my mother. I stayed by my car, close enough to hear, but giving them space. "I'm sorry," my mother said, and for the first time she sounded genuine. "I'm sorry for what I said to you on Christmas. I'm sorry for excluding you. I'm sorry for making you feel like you didn't matter. You do matter. You always mattered. I was cruel and I was wrong." Emma stood very still. "Okay," she said finally. "Okay?" My mother's voice held desperate hope. "Okay, I hear you," Emma clarified. "I appreciate the apology, but I'm leaving for college now. I have a new life starting, and I need to focus on that." My mother's face fell. "So that's it? We're just done?" Emma took a deep breath. "I don't know what we are. But I know I can't go back to the way things were. I can't pretend it never happened. Maybe someday we can build something new, but it has to be different. Healthier, based on mutual respect. And I'm not ready for that yet." "How long?" my mother whispered. "I don't know," Emma said honestly. "Maybe a year, maybe 10 years, maybe never. That depends on you, on whether you really change, on whether you can respect my boundaries. But right now, today, I need to go live my life without worrying about whether I'm good enough for you. Because I'm good enough. I've always been good enough." Emma walked back to her car. My mother stood in our driveway, clutching her envelope, watching her granddaughter leave. "Stephanie," she called to me. I turned. "Please," she said, "don't let her forget us." "She won't forget you," I said. "But whether she forgives you is up to her. Not me. Not anymore." We drove away, leaving my mother standing there. In my rearview mirror, I saw her get smaller and smaller until she disappeared. Emma was quiet for the first hour of the drive. Then she turned to me. "Did I do the right thing?" she asked. "Yes," I said. "You listened to her apology. You acknowledged it. But you also honored your own healing process. You didn't owe her forgiveness on her timeline." "What if she really has changed?" Emma asked. "Then that change will still be there in a year, or 5 years, or whenever you're ready to explore it," I said. "Real change is patient. It doesn't demand immediate reconciliation." Emma nodded, satisfied. 18 months later, I stood in a crowd of parents watching my daughter receive her acceptance into a prestigious summer art program in Florence. She'd been at college for a year and a half, thriving in ways I'd never imagined possible. Emma's artwork had changed. Where before it had been careful and constrained, now it was bold and honest. She painted her truth. She sculpted her pain. She created beauty from the ashes of her trauma. After the ceremony, Emma introduced me to her professors, her friends, her boyfriend who seemed genuinely kind. Everyone loved her. Not because she made herself small to fit their expectations, but because she was vibrantly, authentically herself. That night, back at our hotel, Emma showed me her latest piece. A mixed media artwork she called Empty Chairs. It showed a long dining table with 31 filled chairs and one empty chair at the end. But the empty chair wasn't dark or sad. It was painted in brilliant gold, surrounded by light. "The empty chair represents me," Emma explained, "but it's not empty because I wasn't wanted. It's empty because I chose to leave, because I chose myself over their table. And that choice made me golden." I cried looking at it. From pain to power in a single image. Emma's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, then showed me. A text from my mother, sent to Emma's number my mother had somehow gotten. I understand if you never want to see me again, but I want you to know I'm proud of you. I see your artwork online. You're brilliant. I'm sorry I couldn't see it before. Emma read it twice, then put her phone away. Are you going to respond? I asked. Eventually, Emma said. When I'm ready. If I'm ready. But not because she needs me to. Only if I want to. That's perfect, I said. We flew back to Denver the next day. As we drove home from the airport, Emma asked me to take a detour. She wanted to drive past my parents' old house. The Cherry Hills mansion they'd lost. It looked different. New owners had painted it, updated the landscaping, added a playground in the backyard. Through the windows, I could see a family having dinner together. A large family, everyone gathered around a table that looked full and warm and welcoming. They had 31 people at that party, Emma said quietly, echoing her words from so long ago. But they lost the only two who actually mattered. We drove home to our house, where Daniel was waiting with dinner, where Jennifer was coming over later with her kids, where Marcus had dropped off a bottle of wine with a note, to strong women who know their worth. That night, as I was getting ready for bed, I found myself thinking about that Christmas Eve 3 years ago, the night I came home to find Emma sleeping in the garage. The night that changed everything. If I could go back and do anything differently, would I? I thought about it for a long time, and the answer was yes, but not in the way my mother hoped. I would have done it sooner. I would have protected Emma from their cruelty years earlier. I would have established boundaries long before I did. I would have chosen my daughter over my parents' approval the first time they showed me who they were. But I couldn't change the past. I could only move forward. And moving forward meant choosing healing over history, peace over performance, truth over tradition. My phone buzzed with a goodnight text from Emma. She was back at school, safe in her dorm, surrounded by friends who valued her. Love you, Mom. Thank you for everything, especially for choosing me. I texted back, always, forever, no matter what. And I meant it, because that's what real love does. It protects, it values, it doesn't make you earn your place at the table. It saves you a seat, no matter how crowded the room gets.